Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. In China, there is a famous saying, a new official will burn 3 fires upon taking office. This is actually a literal translation. The meaning of it is essentially the same as this expression, a new broom sweeps clean. Usually, a new official, when just taking office, must make some impressive achievements to prove his ability. So this is also the case with the CCP's new premier Li Qiang. But nobody would have imagined that as the head of the State Council and the so-called number 2 figure of the CCP, his first fire would be to burn down the existing work rules of the State Council and to reduce the State Council, the highest governmental body in China, to a mere office or even house servant of Xi Jinping and the CCP's Central Committee. On March 24th, the Chinese government website announced the new State Council work rules that Li Qiang oversaw after taking office. People compared it to the previous work rules and discovered the following astonishing changes. Firstly, all previous Communist Party leaders were deleted from the general principles. Even Karl Marx, whom the CCP respectfully refers to as our old ancestor, was deleted. The 2018 version of the old State Council work rules general principles stated, the guiding ideology of the State Council's work is to hold high the banner of socialism with Chinese characteristics under the strong leadership of the Party Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping as its core, guided by Marxism-Leninism, Mao Zedong thought, Deng Xiaoping theory, the important thoughts of 3 represents and a scientific outlook on development and Xi Jinping's thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, etc. These statements include all the previous Communist Party leaders before Xi Jinping, with 3 representing Jiang Zemin and the scientific outlook on development representing Xi's predecessor Hu Jintao, who was forcibly removed from the closing ceremony of the CCP's 20th National Congress. In the new rules, this has been changed to the State Council's work adheres to Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era as the guide, resolutely safeguards the authority of the Party Central Committee and its centralized and unified leadership, comprehensively implements the spirit of the 20th National Congress of the Party and the Party Central Committee's decisions and arrangements, unitedly striving to build a modern socialist country in all respects and to realize the second centenary goal and promoting the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation in a Chinese way. So, did you hear that? All other Communist Party leaders have disappeared from the new rules. Only Xi Jinping remains. Not only that, all the goals and the language used in the statement have become Xi's personal terms, such as Chinese-style modernization, realizing the second centenary goal, great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, etc. It's worth noting that in previous important CCP documents, various factions within the party often fought fiercely over which CCP leader's names should appear in the document, and a balance had to be struck between different opinions, with the wording and order of names carefully considered. But this time, all other names have been completely deleted by Li Qiang's bold strokes. On the one hand, this shows Li Qiang's efforts to please Xi Jinping, and on the other hand, it shows that only he, as Xi Jinping's right-hand man during his time in working in Zhejiang province, knows Xi's deep psychological needs. Why do I say this to you? Look at this man. His name is Li Hongzhong. He was the former mayor of Tianjin City, a current member of the CCP's Politburo, and the vice chairman of the Standing Committee of the People's Congress. He became particularly famous after he crafted such a sentence to try to please Xi Jinping. And this sentence is, if your loyalty is not absolute, you are absolutely not loyal. Disgusting, isn't it? People once thought when it comes to kissing up, no one can surpass him. However, Li Hongzhong didn't get the level of promotion that people thought he would. He only received the title of vice chairman of the National People's Congress, which doesn't have any real power. Observers believe that this is because he didn't flatter Xi Jinping enough or failed to hit the nail on the head. Xi Jinping's true pursuit is to have a status that surpasses Mao Zedong on the communist order. So this time, Li Qiang's move not only allowed Xi Jinping to surpass Mao Zedong, but even surpassed Marx. This is what Xi Jinping really wants, and only Li Qiang knows what Xi really wants. Another important change is that the original working rules of the State Council Executive Meeting stated that the first task was to discuss and decide on important matters in the work of the State Council. The new version of the working rules has changed the first article to discuss important matters that need to be submitted to the party central committee for deliberation and decision-making. This indicates that the State Council led by Li Qiang has given the decision-making power of important matters to party central committee, which means to Xi Jinping. It is precisely because the State Council Executive Meeting no longer has the power to decide on important matters that the meeting has become dispensable. It has changed from being held once a week to being held 2 or 3 times a month and can be convened at any time if necessary. In the chapter on meeting system, a new article has been added. Quote, the State Council establishes a learning system with a special study arranged every 2 months. The study activity is presided over by the Premier, and leading comrades of the State Council and leaders of various departments and units participate. The study theme is determined by the Premier, focusing on implementing General Secretary Xi Jinping's important speeches and instructions and the decision-making arrangements of the Party Central Committee and the State Council. Unquote. This article reminds people of a famous slogan from the Cultural Revolution: class struggle must be talked about every year, every month, and every day. Now, the CCP's State Council is also required to regularly study important speeches and instructions of General Secretary Xi Jinping, which means that the State Council has completely become Xi Jinping's house servant. Some commentators have pointed out that This is the real reason why Xi Jinping appointed Li Qiang to lead the State Council. After Li Qiang took over, the State Council became an executive organ of the CCP instead of a governmental or an administrative body. The third to seventh chapter of the original work rules were named comprehensively and correctly fulfilling government functions, adhering to the rule of law in administration, implementing scientific and democratic decision making, advancing government information disclosure, and improving supervisory systems and integrity, respectively. Now, these chapter names have all disappeared. They have been replaced by chapter titles such as Work Principles, Supervisory Systems, Work Discipline, and Self-Construction, and so on. In other words, terms such as adhering to the rule of law, scientific and democratic decision-making, and promoting government information disclosure have all disappeared. What's even more frightening is that the original work rules used a whole chapter with 7 articles and 576 words to describe the government functions of the State Council, while the new version only uses 1/3 of a chapter with 1 article and 119 words only to describe the government functions of the State Council. Functions such as improving the macroeconomic control system, maintaining the unified and open national market, strengthening social management systems and capacity building, improving public safety systems, social security and control systems, emergency management systems, community governance systems, and creating a social governance pattern of co-construction, co-governance, and shared benefits to safeguard social fairness, justice, harmony, stability, and national security, etc., have all disappeared. Therefore, the new State Council is a severely reduced, weakened, and completely drafted State Council, with some responsibilities even disappearing altogether. Also, the new job description uses very short and vague language, which allows the CCP's top leadership to interpret and adjust the responsibilities of the State Council at will. The fact that the CCP governs such a large country in such a whimsical manner is very worrying. The disappearance of the rule of law, administrative review, and government information disclosure means that it will be more difficult for the outside world to understand the government affairs of the State Council, and the public will have virtually no power to apply for administrative review or demand accountability from officials. In addition, Article 39 of the new version states, quote, "The State Council and its departments must strictly implement the system of seeking instructions and reporting for major policies and principles concerning the overall work of the party and the state, as well as important issues in economic, political, cultural, social, and ecological civilization construction, and matters under the centralized and unified management of the party central committee. They must report and seek instructions from the party central committee." This article, of course, means that the State Council will become the eyes and ears of the CCP Central Committee in the future, and important information and matters that should have been reported to the State Council will now have to be reported to and approved by the CCP Central Committee, leaving the State Council with no disposal power. So, in summary, the new work rules have ended the rule of the State Council as the highest state administrative organ, and the CCP and Xi Jinping have completely taken control of everything. Li Qiang's first big fire after taking over the State Council is to burn down the CCP's State Council. Before Li Qiang took over the State Council, many Chinese observers predicted that he could not become the premier because he had never worked in the State Council before. Previous CCP premiers, except for the first one, Zhou Enlai, all served as vice premiers before being promoted to the position. So how could Li Qiang, who had not worked in the State Council for even one day, be competent for this job? Therefore, people predicted that he would not become premier, or at least he should be appointed as vice premier first. So the publication of this new work rules shows us that Xi Jinping never really wanted Li Qiang to manage the State Council. He just wanted him to occupy the position and then directly hand over the State Council to the party Central Committee. So this adjustment no doubt means another big setback for Chinese society. Although Xi Jinping gets called the chief accelerator all the time, and people know that he will accelerate China's backwardness, this latest reverse in the vehicle still surprised many Chinese people. So what will happen next? We can only wait and see. Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please double check if you are still subscribed to my channel, as YouTube keeps taking off my subscribers. And if you like my content, please spread my channel and videos or go to my website and jenniferzengblog.com. That's jenniferzengblog.com to sign up for membership or make a donation to support my effort.